Hello everyone, it's Tenitzu here, and today we'll be getting into part 3 of What If Naruto Was HYUGA. For those who haven't watched the first and second parts, there are links in the description to them, but now, without further ado, let's get straight into part 3. Naruto didn't have much time before the Chunin exam starts, so he began training heavily, running all over the village, where he seemed to run into the same pervy old man every time. He had spiky white hair and some red markings underneath his eyes, but Naruto wasn't aware of it most of the time, as he himself was more so focused on getting stronger, until one fateful day where Naruto ran straight into him. "Hey, watch out, punk!" the pervy old man said. "I had a really good view here." To which Naruto angrily responded, "Well, you should maybe look out for other people and not just at those ladies," which led to a 20-minute long argument between the two, until they finally made peace, agreeing to both watch the woman in silence. Both of them became much friendlier over the next few days, even doing some light training together, and of course going to the bathhouse for suspicious reasons. One day, whilst Naruto was talking with Sasuke, they were interrupted by the Sansgenin who came to the village for the Chunin exams, but Naruto just ignored them and continued talking before one of them, a boy with red hair and no eyebrows, interrupted them as he stared deeply into Sasuke's eyes, telling him that he's just like him, and he introduced himself, with Sasuke introducing himself as well, which was when their interaction ended with the Sand Ninja disappearing, leaving some Sound Ninja behind who came behind them. Finally, the Chunin exam started, with the interaction between Rock Lee and Sasuke happening, but after that, as we all know, the written exam starts. Hinata sat next to Naruto like in the original and offered for him to cheat off of her, but Naruto denied it, as he had a much better idea. He activated his Byakugan sneakily and was able to cheat off of her without having to look over to her paper, which in turn made him a lot more confident, and so Team 7 passed the first phase of the Chunin exams. But before they could celebrate, Anko flew in through a window, breaking it in the process, and shouted at them all, "There's no time to celebrate, everyone, follow me!" And she jumped out once more, with Naruto standing up and running after her, jumping out the same window, and then crashed into the grass. When Naruto looked up from the ground, he saw the giant force of death. "Holy shit," Naruto said, standing up, with Sasuke and Sakura standing around him. Before he could of course finish his sentence, he was hit by Sakura. Naruto looked at the force for a while and listened to everything that Anko said incredibly carefully, then told Sasuke, "This is gonna be easy, we're gonna finish this in less than an hour." And he grabbed the scroll from Anko, then ran into the forest, followed closely by his teammates. At first everything was going incredibly smooth. There was no one in the way, and Naruto was able to look out for any threats with his Byakugan. They even had a system to recall if anyone was fake or not. And so it was all the more shocking when suddenly a massive snake attacked the entire team, with a man standing on top of it. It seemed to be a woman's body with a snake-like face, but Naruto couldn't really see too much of it as he was more focused on dodging the large snake's attack. Naruto quickly jumped up toward the unknown assailant, trying to kick him away, but his leg was caught and he was thrown into a nearby tree. "Naruto!" Sasuke shouted as he looked at the wreck of a tree, but Naruto gave a thumbs up to Sasuke, and so the latter jumped up as well, activating his Sharingan and used an absolutely massive fireball jutsu, burning the entire snake, before a sudden massive gust of wind hit the remains of the snake, throwing it into a tree, as Naruto brushed some dust from his shoulders. Naruto had some jutsus to use now too. Sasuke smirked at Naruto as the entire team was suddenly forced onto their knees, as the person who turned out was Orochimaru unleashed his bloodlust on the trio, and quickly left the Heaven Curse seal on Sasuke. Sasuke passed out, which angered Naruto greatly as he jumped toward Orochimaru with a massive boost of Nine-Tailed Chakra. Then she managed to land 2 very good punches on the legendary Saiyan's face before getting caught as Orochimaru revealed his stomach. Interesting," he said in his snake-like voice before suddenly performing a 5-pronged seal on the young boy, strengthening his seal, and Naruto passed out as well, with Orochimaru throwing him onto the ground, leaving only Sakura, who suddenly began crying. She couldn't do anything again. Sakura picked the two of them up as she quickly began running. They still had their scrolls, so they still had a good chance of winning, right? Naruto and Sasuke just needed to wake up and then they'd make it. Whilst they were camping inside a hollow tree, some Sound Ninja came who threatened to kill her for the scroll, but she refused, and so did Naruto. "You're awake?" Naruto stood up. "Get away from my teammate," he said with a cold look in his eyes as he defeated all of the Sound Ninja in a single giant wind attack before passing out again. But not before taking their wind scroll and throwing it to Sakura. "Just take the two of us to the main tower." But before he could even finish his sentence, he passed out on the floor, and Sakura nodded, but she just thought about how helpless she was again. She needed to change as fast as possible. Sakura was actually able to get to the tower after some time, which, at least for her, was pretty impressive, as she had to carry both Naruto and Sasuke, who were both not that light. When they got to the tower, Naruto said, "Ah, that was so nice," to which Sakura replied very confused, What do you mean? It was nice not having to walk, and you got hit on the head. So you were awake! Naruto just snickered as they waited on Sasuke to wake up. When he finally did, they all opened the scroll with HYUGA coming out, congratulating them, then, after some time had passed, brought them to the main area where everyone else already was. The third Hokage congratulated them all before the first part of the third stage of the Chunin exams began, with Sasuke against another one of Orochimaru's minions, where his mark expanded all over his body going into its first stage, with him winning the fight in a good 10 seconds or so. When the battle of Sakura and Ino began, Sakura was able to dodge Ino easily, which confused her. She was so far behind the other two people in her team that she didn't realize how much better she had truly gotten. Gotten weak, Ino pig, she said as she kicked Ino away, dealing a high amount of damage onto her before Sakura appeared in front of Ino once more, kicking her out with a good punch to the face. Naruto began screaming so that everyone in the stadium could hear, "Good job, Sakura!" and waved a thumbs up to her, which she smiled widely although telling him to shut up. Next is Naruto's fight, quote-unquote, against Kiba. When Naruto's name was called out alongside Kiba's, he smirked widely. This would be an easy fight, and he was right to think so, as Naruto easily defeated Kiba with a wind bullet jutsu which knocked Kiba out with only that. Once again, Naruto had bested Sasuke, which inferred the Uchiha, as Naruto was much faster to win his fight, and Naruto made sure to rub that in. When the fight of Hinata and Neji happened, Naruto's fury began leaking out in the way of the Kyuubi chakra as we rushed down, stopping the fight even before the Jonin could arrive, even though they were already on their way, and told Neji that, "You'll pay for that, scum," with Hinata fainting next to him out of exhaustion. The rest of the fights in the preliminaries are unimportant, so we'll now be skipping toward the 1 month in which Naruto truly began his training with Jiraiya, where he learned to harness some of the power of the Nine-Tails after getting his seal loosened, learned the summoning jutsu, and was also able to learn the very basics of fire and earth jutsu, as Naruto was able to pick up on nature's transformations very easily with his natural talent and shadow clones, and he was prepared to mess up Neji. When the finals of the Chunin exams began, Naruto walked into the stage to loud boos, especially from the HYUGA clan, as they didn't see him as a true member of their clan, but Naruto smiled and shouted at them, "Boo all you want, I'll win this fight," to which Orochimaru shadily smirked. When Neji came in, he instantly began belittling Naruto, telling him how he couldn't defy his fate and would lose to Neji, but Naruto just shushed him and said, "I'll show you how wrong you are," and then smirked confidently, which annoyed Neji. And when the fight started, he quickly activated his Byakugan, with Naruto doing the same, as he threw a gigantic Gale Palm at the HYUGA, knocking him back, but when Naruto tried to go into physical combat, he was quickly stopped by Neji, knocking him away in a circular attack. "Huh, not that bad after all," Naruto said as he slammed his hands to the ground, forming a circular wall around Neji before jumping up, firing a fireball jutsu at Neji, then boosting it with a wind bullet, which amplified the attack greatly. And that of course hurt Neji a lot, with Neji still shocked from the burn. He didn't realize that Naruto was flying at him with 20 clones until the very last second, where he attempted to blast them all away, but he was slowly getting overwhelmed. "I'm not letting you win!" Neji screamed as he threw them all away in another circular attack as he showed Naruto's mark. "You were let go. You weren't branded like us of the Branch family. How could you understand anything?" But Naruto just suddenly became serious as he told Neji, "Then why not change?" Neji tried to butt in, but Naruto just shushed him. "Shh, we can do it together. We are both seen as second to the main family. They only approve of our power." Neji seemed swayed, but then attempted to sneak attack Naruto, but Naruto knocked him out, telling him, "And even a failure could do something like this," before walking away to mixed applause, boosts, and silence. The next and most important fight is Sasuke vs Gaara, with everything happening quite similar to the original, but Sasuke was even faster and stronger, managing to overpower the genius and almost flawless defense of Gaara, which made the Jinchuriki rage as he began transforming slowly, and so the Konoha Crush started. Instead of being caught in the Genjutsu like in the original, Naruto was able to stay awake and instantly followed Gaara as the latter attempted to escape, with Sasuke right after Naruto. "We gotta subdue that guy," Naruto said to Sasuke, but Sasuke scoffed at him, still mad at how much better Naruto seemed. "Let me do this myself, weakling," which confused Naruto. He and Sasuke had gotten so much closer, but after even a single month apart, they seemed to grow away from each other even faster. At least that's what it looked like to him. When Sasuke attempted to fight Gaara, he was quickly overpowered by the latter, as he just kept on getting stronger and stronger as more and more sand grew over him, before Naruto finally stepped in, saving Sasuke from a massive fall, smiling at him. "Come on, let's do this," with Sasuke just nodding, although he felt deeply embarrassed, having to be saved by Naruto. When they began fighting together, it seemed like it was a perfect match. They seemed to perfectly make up for each other's weaknesses, and so Gaara was quickly overpowered before turning into his full form, with which he was able to hit Sasuke in a large sand attack, fully knocking the Uchiha out, which infuriated Naruto. "Don't you dare hurt my friend!" he shouted at Gaara before using the transformation jutsu, ending the fight in the same way that he did in the original. Now, as the next arc, the Tsunade retrieval arc, doesn't really get changed by this what if in any real big way, I'll be skipping this arc with Naruto gaining the same things that he did in the original alongside a small power boost. When Naruto came to Sasuke's hospital room, Sasuke didn't even seem to want to talk to him before telling him that they needed to fight right now, which Naruto wouldn't turn down, and so the hospital fight began. Naruto was stronger than him in every way. His taijutsu was better, he could use his dojutsu better, and even his fighting skill in general was better. The only thing Sasuke had on Naruto was his ninjutsu, but that wasn't good against a Hyuga. Everything just seemed to crush down on Sasuke. He couldn't become strong like Naruto. He was weaker in every aspect, including his mental strength, so, after losing the fight, he went with Orochimaru's goons, starting the Sasuke retrieval arc. When Naruto heard of Sasuke's leaving, he was crushed. Sasuke had become his best friends over the month, as they did so much together. They even hung out in their free time, but this one little thing broke everything. He was going to kill Orochimaru for what he had done. Before the team of Genin could move out, Naruto was called to the Hokage's office where he was promoted to Chunin for his incredible skill and standing by his village, even when his best friend, who was like a brother to him, left. Naruto couldn't lose now. He promised to Sakura to bring him back. He promised to Tsunade to bring him back. He promised to everyone. But when he finally got to Sasuke after managing to get away from Kimimaro, he felt crushed. It was like staring into a broken mirror as Sasuke stood in front of him at the final valley, ready to fight even Naruto, the boy who, at least to Naruto, was his best friend. Naruto grit his teeth as he began the battle, with Sasuke managing to best him until he activated the first stage of his curse mode. When Naruto first got overpowered, but he could mediate this with some of the Night Elf's chakra, then Sasuke awakened his three Tomoe Sharingan. Naruto could just use more Night Elf's chakra. Sasuke used the second stage of his curse mark, and that's where Naruto fell on his knees, starting to tear up, asking Sasuke how he could do this, what was his reason. But Sasuke just scoffed, telling him, "You never had anything. You could never understand the pain of losing someone close to you." Which is when Naruto jumped at Sasuke with his Rasengan in rage, turning it in orange, with the chakra of the Nine Tails fueling it. But even then, Naruto was overpowered, with even Sasuke leaving him alive. Naruto had lost everything in a single day, but this was no reason to give up, and Naruto screamed so loud it felt like the area shook that it would bring back Sasuke, and he said to himself, even after leaving the village with Jiraiya to train for 3 years. As they walked, Naruto began to tear up, and when Jiraiya asked him why, he just shook his head and told Jiraiya, "I promise you, I'll never lose again." Which Jiraiya laughed and clapped him on his back and said, "I'm sure you will." Naruto smiled at him, wiping his tears away, and nodded. Now I hope you all enjoyed this what if. If you did, be sure to like, subscribe, and join the Discord. But without further ado, this was Tenitzu, and I am